Former Cowboys star receiver Dez Bryant, a free agent throughout this NFL season, has agreed to a deal with the red-hot New Orleans Saints, who are 7-1. And the floundering Baltimore Ravens have decided not to hold practice during their bye week. Coach John Harbaugh said he knew his team was better off resting at this point, adding that he hopes this time off helps his team, 4-5 to this point, get their legs back. To provide context on all of these NFL storylines is Washington Post NFL reporter Mark Maske. Mark, conflicting points of view between those inside the Dallas camp and those outside who maybe once have been inside. That would be Troy Aikman. What was your reaction to Aikman's words?
You know, it's hard to argue with the validity of what Troy Aikman says. I mean, when you look at the Cowboys over a long period of time, it has been quite some time since that third Super Bowl triumph with Jerry Jones as the owner, and sort of the common denominator in all of that, through the different coaches, through the different regimes of quarterbacks, is Jerry Jones and the way he approaches this and his involvement as the owner, being his own general manager. So yes, I think Troy Aikman is right. It would behoove Jerry Jones, behoove the Cowboys to sort of stand back, take a different approach, bring in a general manager to run things, have a coach who can do things exactly the way he wants to without sort of having to answer so closely to Jerry Jones on everything. But on the other hand, you know, it's not realistic. You know, there are no midterm elections with the Cowboys. At this point, Jerry Jones is going to do things the way he wants to. It's not realistic to believe he's going to, at this stage in his life, at this stage in his career, he's going to step back and do things differently. So for better or for worse, going forward, I think you're going to see the Cowboys operate the very same way. Jerry Jones is going to be very involved. And if they do get back to another Super Bowl, it's going to be doing it the way Jerry Jones wants to and the way he sort of pushes all the buttons to have it done.
All right, the biggest news coming out of the NFL today is Dez Bryant agreeing to sign with the Saints. Now, what's the reaction around the NFL to the Saints playing so well right now, possibly rocking their own boat by adding Bryant?
You know, obviously there are concerns about that, but when you look at a team that has Sean Payton as its coach, it has Drew Brees as its quarterback, I don't think the Saints will allow that to happen. If this becomes a repeat of the Adrian Peterson situation where we saw that not go well, you know, they got Adrian Peterson out of there very quickly. They will get Dez Bryant out of there very quickly if it becomes a problem. But when you stand back and look at it from a football perspective, it makes sense for both sides. This sort of validates the approach that Dez Bryant has taken, not taking the opportunity he had in Baltimore, not taking the opportunity he had in Cleveland. Now he gets a chance with Drew Brees as his quarterback to sort of revive his career, make himself a viable receiver again who can maybe get a better contract the next time. And from the Saints' perspective, you're talking about a team that behind Michael Thomas had very little depth and very little production at wide receiver. Dez Bryant comes in. He's not a guy you have to count on. He just becomes a complementary player. The ball is going to go to Thomas. The ball is going to go to Alvin Kamara. But in those rare instances where a defense finds a way to sort of shut both of those off, is there another direction you can go? And Dez Bryant becomes a possibility in that regard, but he's not something that they have to count on. And if things start going the wrong way, if Dez Bryant becomes sort of a problem and a divisive force, I think you'll see it end very quickly.
Yeah, it does justify Bryant's approach now that he lands with a team that most would say are in contention for a Super Bowl. All right, an unorthodox approach coming out of your backyard with Baltimore, with Harbaugh deciding to give his team the week off. What was your reaction to that?
You know, I'm actually surprised you don't see that more often in the NFL, particularly when a team has its bye this far into the season. You know, those few extra practices you get during the bye week, which aren't going to be intense practices anyway, are not going to do you a lot. Really, the value of the bye, particularly halfway through the season, is to get the players, get their bodies rested, allow sometimes for the sort of the nagging injuries to heal up. If the Ravens were going to make a quarterback switch, and if they were going to go to Lamar Jackson right now, they would have needed this time on the field. They're not doing that. They're staying the course with Joe Flacco. I don't think it's a move that's really going to keep them from getting things turned around. Look, you know, there's a lot of pressure on John Harbaugh right now. There's a lot of pressure on Joe Flacco. If things don't go well down the stretch, they will probably pay for this, for not getting back to the playoffs with their jobs in Baltimore, but it won't be because the Ravens didn't hold a few extra practices during the bye week. I really don't quibble with what John Harbaugh has done with giving his players time off during this bye week.
All right, thanks so much, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Kate.